10. We begin with breaking news out of Jackson.
An arrest has been made in connection to the deadly shooting over a pair of sneakers. 23-year-old Curtis Scooter Sawyer is being charged with capital murder. According to JPD, a pursuit began right around 7:30 after Rankin County Sheriff deputies located Sawyer in Rankin County. Brandon and Pearl police helped assist, and the suspect was apprehended. Sawyer is now in JPD custody. Now, that shooting happened this morning at Pine Ridge Gardens Apartments on Rebel Woods Drive. Sawyer allegedly took a pair of gym shoes from the victim before shooting him and fleeing the scene. Chief Wade says that violence like this must come to an end.
We have people in this community, some that are emotionally unintelligent. They don't know how to mitigate situations and circumstances, and they think that violence is the way to resolve issues and problems. But there is no excuse whatsoever for you to prioritize a pair of tennis shoes over this man's life. He lost his life today in a very tragic way because of the tennis shoes that he was wearing on his feet. That is sad. There's no excuse for it, but what I can do is hold these individuals accountable.
Vigil is being held for a 2-year-old girl who was killed back in May. CBS News Miami's Peter Dinch is live from Pembroke Pines, where it is expected to get underway soon. Peter.
Well, Chelsea, they are gathering here at this vigil to remember the child and also call attention to her story. Now, her father, Geronimo Duran, is accused of first-degree murder. Police say Melody Alana Rose Duran was discovered with a gash in her neck at the Pembroke Pines home that Duran had lived in with his grandmother on May 28th. Duran was separated from the child's mother, and family members say even though the mother repeatedly warned that Duran was unstable and had mental health issues, the court had granted him unsupervised visitation. Family members say that should never have happened, and they are calling for reforms in the law.
Inexplicable incident overnight on the LIE. A woman jumped from a moving car and got killed. The woman was in the back seat of a rideshare vehicle when she opened the door and leapt near the Casino Boulevard overpass. Police say she was then struck by multiple vehicles. They identify the woman as 32-year-old Priyanka Suhani. At this point, the reason she jumped remains a mystery.
True murder mystery in February when a young woman was found shot to death in Woodbridge inside her still running car.
Now only on 4 tonight, we can share details of a painstaking police investigation into an alleged murder for hire plot that recently led to 2 arrests. And for the first time, the victim's parents are talking to our Northern Virginia Bureau Chief Julie Cary about their tremendous loss and the shocking story of what led to the shooting.
Egypt Carter's life was filled with promise. Growing up in Bowie, she was senior class president at Charles Flowers High School, next heading to Bennett College in North Carolina on a scholarship, graduating in 3 years, proudly giving her diploma, cap, and graduation stole to her parents. At 23, she was operating her own online business in North Carolina.
Egypt could illuminate a room. She just had that gift. Her accomplishments were great in that short period of time that we had her here, and she was just a go-getter.
Egypt surprised her parents, though, when she told them she'd gotten married, providing few details about her new husband.
And I'm asking the question, when can I meet this person?
To their dismay and disbelief, the couple learned Egypt married a man named Lionel Carter III, who was in Virginia's Sussex I state prison.
The truth of the matter, I didn't even think it was real. It was always a thought of, are they really married? And I'm like, no way, no way.
The couple says during calls and visits, they didn't push, fearful it would drive their daughter away. But Cynthia remembers one troubling phone conversation.
I do recall her stating that she wanted out. And I do recall her saying that if she did, that she could be in harm's way.
Then on February 1st of this year, Wayne says he had a bad feeling, a foreboding.
I feel in my gut she's in trouble. She got on the phone, and I said, Egypt? She said, hey, she called me Papa. Hey, Papa.
Egypt told her dad she was driving up to Woodbridge to meet with someone, but had to head straight back to North Carolina. Wayne says he urged her to come home. His last text to her at 1:26 a.m. on February 2nd. At 2 a.m., Prince William County Police responded to a shooting call. Egypt was found dead in her car, shot 5 times, her seatbelt still on, the car in drive. Wayne was notified first.
Even now, I still have that hole.
It was like someone had just shot a bullet through my heart, and I had this big hole in my heart. And it was so painful.
Detectives quickly began focusing their investigation on Lionel Carter after learning he was in prison for fatally shooting his girlfriend in Richmond in 2014. Khadijah Stewart was just 19 years old and had told Carter she wanted to break up. In the search warrant affidavit filed in connection with Egypt's death, the detective writes, quote, Mr. Carter threatened Ms. Carter's life a year ago when she tried to tell him she was going to leave him. Ms. Carter told a close friend that if she dies, it will be because of her ex-husband. A search of Carter's prison cell turned up what's known as a jailbroken tablet, a device altered so an inmate can secretly send messages. There was also a cell phone. Last month, the investigation leading to 2 arrests. Charging documents say Drew Buchanan and Denzel Wade were involved in a murder-for-hire plot arranged by Carter. The detective writes, Mr. Carter reached out to another inmate to organize and plan the murder of his wife. Buchanan and Wade are charged with second-degree murder.
I'm glad and happy that they're off the street. I'm asking myself.
With breaking news, an investigation underway now after a woman was shot and killed in South LA.
Right now, the information is still limited. KTLA's Omar Lewis, live in Westmont. Omar, you just spoke with the victim's family, we understand.
Yeah, we just spoke to the brother of the victim. He says this family is calling this a senseless tragedy. They do not understand how or why their 21-year-old relative was shot and killed right here in this alleyway behind us here in South LA. This is near Century Boulevard and Wilton Place. You can see investigators are still on this scene. More than 6 hours after the first calls for help came out, detectives are working to piece together exactly what happened. The suspect remains on the run. We can show you the victim here this morning. The brother of the victim identifying her as 21-year-old Lanai Ariana Dees, who lives in Inglewood. She was found dead with a gunshot wound in her car. Her car was also crashed here. That family member telling me that they think that she was possibly visiting a friend here, but other than that, they have no idea who would do this to her or why, and that's exactly what investigators are trying to figure out here as well. We can show you video from this crime scene overnight and tell you that LA County Sheriff's Department investigators say this all happened around 12:40 a.m. Deputies sealed off the area with crime scene tape. The victim, again, 21-year-old Lanai Ariana Dees, was found dead in her car, pronounced dead right here on this scene. Detectives were focused on the victim's car, seen parked here in this alleyway.
Good evening, I'm Scott Thuman. First tonight at 6, new developments in a horrifying case. A jury finds 2 girls, just 13 and 14 years old, guilty of murdering this man, Reggie Brown. The girls claimed boredom led them to chase him down and beat him to death, as they captured it all on camera. 7 News' Felicia Ashley spoke with Reggie's family right after the verdict.
We are learning some new details tonight about what led up to 3 people being found shot to death inside of a home in Cary.
CBS 17's Galat Malaman is live in Cary with what newly released search warrants reveal. Galat.
When Cary police searched this home, they found 54-year-old Erica Holton and 19-year-old Mina Guy on one floor of the house with 3 shell casings in between them. Then they found 19-year-old Xavier Holton upstairs, dead in a bathroom. The warrant says that Erica Holton's husband was on the phone with her when he heard a loud disturbance followed by 2 large pops. Then the call dropped. After arriving to the house and calling 911, the warrant says the husband told officers he believed his stepson, 19-year-old Xavier Holton, may have been involved because of recent suicidal thoughts. When officers arrived to the house, they found the women dead. The warrant says both had head and face trauma. Then, according to the warrant, officers found Xavier in an upstairs bathroom with a loaded gun in the sink next to him. Investigators seized a magazine loader, a handgun, 4 shell casings, and 2 fired projectiles, among other items. And when I spoke...
Life in prison. That is the sentence just delivered today to Tiffany Lucas, the Bullitt County mother who shot and killed her 2 boys. Our Ian Hardwick and photojournalist Addie Hill spent the morning in the courtroom. Ian, some of the family we spoke to said that life sentence did not go far enough.
Brooke, many of the boys' family members said during victim testimony that they wanted Lucas to go away with life without parole. After this, she's eligible for parole within the next 20 years. And throughout the court hearing this case, Lucas's lawyers insisted the mother of two was having a psychotic episode. That came back up during closing arguments, where they said Lucas believed her kids were the targets of a child sex trafficking conspiracy. The boys' families shook their heads at that, saying even if her mental break was brought on by drugs, Lucas brought it on herself. Bobby Baker, Maurice's aunt, cared for little boy Jaden too, and says she'll be at every parole hearing going forward.
The only peace I have in this is knowing that you can't hurt them anymore.
Was choked out outside of a hotel in Times Square.
All right, let's get right to the scene. And Fox 5's Linda Schmidt, who is our top story tonight at 5. Linda, wow.
Yeah, absolutely awful story here. We're talking about a 23-year-old woman. Police telling us that she was stalked by a man that she didn't know as she was walking on the sidewalk here. We are outside of the Plaza New York Times Square Hotel. This is just off of 8th Avenue. It is near Times Square, but it is actually in Midtown. And they are telling me that this man had a long criminal history. Go ahead and take a look at this video right here. This is from earlier today. Now, police are saying this is the suspect. He is 33-year-old Jaheim Warren of Prospect Park, New Jersey. He was arrested today in New Jersey by a task force that includes the NYPD and the U.S. Marshals Service. Now, police say that it was about 4:45 in the morning on October 29th when 23-year-old Leslie Torres was walking on West 46th Street by herself. Now, the suspect had been randomly following her. They did not know one another. Police say he attacked her and strangled her right on the sidewalk. Now, at this particular time, the young woman then was rushed to the hospital. Now, last week, she died, sadly, from her injuries. Now, police are also saying that this suspect has a long criminal history in New Jersey and that he served time in prison in New Jersey.
Mesquite ISD is investigating after a 19-year-old man got into a high school and sexually assaulted a student at knife point. Hello, everyone. I'm Heather Hayes.
And I'm Steve Eager. It's 9 o'clock. The attack happened early yesterday morning at Horn High School in Mesquite. Police say the suspect had help getting inside the building. Fox 4's Amelia Jones is in Mesquite right now with a reaction from parents. Amelia.
Heather, Steve, Mesquite police tell us that the suspect had a knife, and that's what he used to force the victim into a bathroom where the alleged sexual assault happened. The parents we spoke to were concerned that they didn't find out about the incident until the next day, and now they're worried something like this could happen again. Tuesday, around 2:30 p.m., Mesquite police say a Horn High School student opened a locked door for a 19-year-old man. Once inside, the man searched for his ex-girlfriend, who is a student at the high school. He used a knife to force her into a restroom where he allegedly sexually assaulted her.
After the incident, my understanding is the victim immediately went to the front office and notified staff of what had occurred.
A teacher saw the suspect in the hall and approached him. The suspect ran, and school resource officers didn't find him on campus. Mesquite police identified the suspect as 19-year-old Siniaz Elijah and arrested him Tuesday night at his home in Seagoville. He's charged with aggravated sexual assault of a child.
Joining us here on News 12 The Bronx, I'm Amanda Bossard. Tonight, a mother is calling for justice after she says her son was beaten to death and left to die inside of his own home. News 12's Valerie Ryan has this exclusive story.
Michael Woody's loved ones described him as a light.
He was just a whole vibe. He brought people together.
His mom says he recently started a new chapter, moving in with his girlfriend. That chapter quickly ended when police found him unresponsive in his home at 1639 Fulton Avenue on November 16th.
My son was killed. He was murdered.
Miss Woody says detectives told her surveillance video captured two men walk into Michael Woody's apartment and catches them leaving 45 minutes later. Thea Woody, Michael's mother, tells us she fears a rough patch in her son's relationship may have led to his death. Investigators released this wanted flyer. Miss Woody identifies the woman as Michael's girlfriend, the man in the middle as her father, while the man in the baseball cap is unknown.
I want all three of them to go to jail for this. No plea deal, no none of that. Because now his 15-year-old daughter is growing up without her father.
A neighbor tells us they witnessed Woody's girlfriend leave the apartment and keep the door open. This photo shows the man in the baseball cap holding some sort of metal object in his hand. Miss Woody believes Michael was beaten to death.
He was just so willing to just take his life from him like it wasn't nothing, like he didn't matter. He belonged to people.
Ring camera footage captures Michael being taken out on a stretcher.
My son's life mattered. It mattered.
Police have not confirmed the cause of Michael's death and no one is in custody. In Claremont, Valerie Ryan, News 12, The Bronx.
I'm just taking it moment by moment. That's what I'm going to do.
You just heard from a grief-stricken girlfriend of a man who lost his life in a bizarre, brutal, random killing. It happened at a golf course. Police say the suspect actually beat that victim with his own golf club.
Yeah, and that suspect is in jail tonight. Nico Clemens is in Palm Beach Gardens with an emotional interview with the victim's girlfriend.
A horrific tragedy at this golf course. Police say they don't have a motive, but they say right now this looks like a random attack. The victim's loved ones are devastated and struggling to make sense of it all.
It's a shock. You know, he's always there. Brian's my right arm.
He was the love of her life.
He's such a good person.
Palm Beach Gardens police say 65-year-old Hildebrand was at the Sand Hill Crane Golf Club Monday when Junior Boucher repeatedly hit Hildebrand in the head with his own golf clubs. The police report says a witness told officers the two ended up in a pond. The suspect jumped on top of the victim and appeared to choke him. The witness told officers Hildebrand yelled, "He's trying to kill me," several times.
This appears to be a random act of violence.
Police say Boucher has an extensive criminal history, including drug charges, domestic battery, and battery on an officer. He was convicted in 2023 and served almost a year in jail. Lives changed forever.
I don't know. How am I doing? I'm just taking it moment by moment. That's what I'm going to do. That's the plan.
Police learning some new information about a woman's murder. It happened at a hotel next to Johns Hopkins Hospital. She was killed 10 days ago at a party at that hotel, and police are releasing this new surveillance video and photos that they hope will solve the case. WJZ investigator Mike Helgren live in your corner at the hotel with more on this so far unsolved homicide. Mike.
Denise, police tell us they know who rented that hotel room, that they want everyone at that party to come forward. No detail is too small. We spoke today to a victim, a relative of the victim. She didn't want to do an interview, but wanted you to know that Kiara was loved and the family just wants justice. Take a close look at this surveillance video. These are some of the people at a party the Sunday before last at the Residence Inn adjacent to the Johns Hopkins Hospital campus on Wolf Street. The video shows people getting off the elevator and heading to the party. It was taken before 28-year-old Kiara Tripp, also known as Keedy, was shot and killed inside a hotel room around 1:30 in the morning.
We released video surveillance showing a lot of people that were there. We don't know if they are persons of interest. We don't know if they're suspects, but we know that they were in that room.
Are you starting to get some
posted?
Loved ones have posted many tributes to Kiara on social media. One relative wrote on Facebook, "When they find the people who did this to Kiara, I'll be at every, and I mean every court date to try and make sure that they never do this to another person or family. Kiara is loved and missed deeply. This has changed us in so many ways. It broke us." One guest of the hotel that night who asked to remain anonymous told WJZ police stopped him, asking if he saw anything.
I went in the room with several guest members and she didn't come out.